How can you achieve more with less time? I know you might be super busy. Aren't we all? You're still working your full-time job, or maybe you've started your business now, you're super swamped and you don't know what to do first, or maybe you're still in university or college and you want to be working on your business. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to analyze what you're doing right now and if those are the right things. Spoiler alert, they're probably not. I'm going to teach you how to then set the right priorities. And I'm also going to tell you about the things I've been doing wrong in the past and actually I'm still doing wrong and sometimes I cry about. And then we're going to finish it off with a really big game changer for this year in your business. I'm going to teach you the one thing I am doing this year that is going to 10x my results, and it can 10x your results too. Hello, and welcome to the Fast Forward Amy Show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm Fast Forward Amy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. I know that you probably feel overwhelmed when you are, for example, starting out working on your business. You might still be studying, you might still have a full-time job, but you have this passion, you have a talent or a skill set, and you really want to put it out there into the world. Maybe you are creating products that you want to offer to people, maybe you want to start coaching people, maybe you take really great photos and you want to become a photographer, and right now you want to start your business, but you are lacking the time to actually make it happen. Or maybe you've already started your business, but you feel like you just really don't know what to do first. This is a situation I come across every single day in my DMs and in my business coaching program, the Business Freedom Elevator, and even in the Boss Up Mentorship, which is the follow-up program. And it is something that we're going to be fixing today. Now, I felt a little bit about creating this podcast episode because I'm like, I feel like I've already talked about this. I've created so many episodes about time management, focus management, energy management. It's even one of the core modules in my Business Freedom Elevator program. But today I'm taking a little bit of a different approach and I'm gonna walk you through like literally the case. Like I'm gonna point out, I think you're doing this, I think you should be doing this, and this is what you're gonna end up doing. So in this episode, we're gonna go from analyzing what are you doing right now to what should you be doing to how are you now gonna analyze what you should be doing in the future to keep on growing. This means that I'm not really stepping into an educational role, I'm not stepping into a coach role, I'm gonna be stepping into a consultant role and really literally just giving you directions on what to do. I've also prepped a drawing for you that you can see in the video, and of course if you're listening to the podcast, know that you can always find me on YouTube and on Instagram. Now, if you're currently walking around, cooking, cleaning, I don't know what you're doing, and you want to revisit the contents of this episode and that drawing because you're not watching the video, I highly recommend you go and check out the article of the podcast episode. So we always link up the article in the description of the file. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, in the description of the episode is a link to the article of the episode, and the link is always fastforwardamy.com/number of the episode. So you can find everything there, including the Excel sheet I'm going to be talking about later. So the first step, and there are 3 steps in this episode. The first step is looking at what are you currently doing. If you come to me and you tell me, Amy, I don't have enough time, I'm going to call you out. I also call me out, by the way, because despite the fact that I run 2 businesses and 2 brands and I have a highly I want to say invasive social life, but I just mean like, I just have a lot going on in my life. I'm going to tell you, don't we all? None of us say, I have loads of time. Sometimes people will respond to me or like in my question box, like, I just can't seem motivated to get started. But most people do feel motivated enough to get started. I do too, but they just don't have enough time. I'm here to call you out. I'm here to call me out. I just talked about this with my team. We often do have enough time. We're just doing the wrong things. Now, I'm gonna give you a little metaphor here, and I don't know if it's gonna make sense, but when you have sex for the first time with someone, or like you're doing different bases with someone, you might be like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I just came up with this in my prep. When you have sex with someone, like, we all know that there's a clitoris and there's a vagina and how you have sex and how you should be getting an orgasm. But it might be that with a new partner in bed, they might not be doing the things right. So you might be like, oh, I need to go a little lower, a little bit higher. You need to do the things differently, basically. Today I'm here to tell you it is not like having sex. It's actually the opposite. You might be worried right now that you're not doing things right, like the dude you're sleeping with, but you need to be worried about, are you doing the right things? I don't know if that makes sense. I'm gonna continue on this same path because, yeah, I had fun explaining that to you. So I wanna know, what are you doing? Because I think it's not like you're not optimizing your website in the correct way. It's probably that you shouldn't be working on your website right now. So you're probably wasting a lot of time on comparing systems. I know this is something I used to do. I'm also going to look at what I used to do and what you're probably doing, and maybe just be really upfront about what I'm fucking up right now and doing, like, could be doing better. So you're probably comparing different systems. For example, you want to set up an email service provider. You're spending a ton of time on comparing the different systems instead of just making a decision and sticking with one. Maybe you're working on your website and making it perfect, but you don't actually need a website to start selling if you're offering services. You need a place for people to actually buy from you. You might be so worried about your Google Drive and the way it's organized, and this is a very unpopular truth, and I shouldn't stereotype or generalize, but this is my show, so I can do whatever I want. When people tell me they have the most organized Google Drive ever, but their business isn't doing well, I'm like, yeah, I could have told you that by looking at your Google Drive, because it is very rare that top entrepreneurs or like starting entrepreneurs are the most organized people. You don't necessarily have to be organized in order to turn your business into a success. I'm not saying you can't, but if you have a really organized Google Drive and you're not selling, now you know why. Because you're spending too much time on your Google Drive folders and not enough time on your sales. So your Google Drive, you can clean that up later. That's a someday. You can put that in your to-do list and be like, oh, when I have time at some point, I'll look at that. Your emails. Most of your emails and like responding to emails is reactive work, not proactive work. Maybe you find yourself creating really beautiful Excel files, but not actually filling in the data in your Excel files because you spent so much time on adding the right color codes to your cells and stuff that by the time that it was time for you to fill out your data or like the formulas, that you ran out of fuel and you're exhausted. I do this so often. So I'm good organizational, but I have to be in a certain time frame of my period. So there's like 1 out of 4 weeks where I can crush it in admin stuff. Basically, I learned this. I think it's right before I get my my periods. I'm not sure. I put it all in my calendar. So now like in my calendar, I can see like that's when I'm menstruating, that's when I'm ovulating. And I also know that, for example, next week I have a photo shoot on the day I'm getting my period. That is a bad move. And from now on, I'm never going to do that again because I won't be in a really outward focused vibe. On the other hand, I know that when I'm ovulating, I'm going to be like really intense and really outward facing. So I have that in my calendar, by the way. This is just a pro bonus tip. If you track your period, you should. It might help you to look at the way you structure your work. This is something maybe I'll talk about later. Kate Northrup has a really good book about it, Do Less, and she also gave a masterclass in my membership, the Alpha Tribe, over in my other business, Alpha Women. Feel free to look it up. Back to what we were talking about, beautiful Excel files, you're running out of fumes. So I know that when I need to tackle a really difficult new project, so for you that could be creating a new product, setting up your offer, creating like a timeline of something. I know that when I need to do this, for example, for a launch, when my team asks me for something I need to give strategic input, I can fairly easily lose myself in procrastination by making things pretty. And then at the end, I'll be like, I didn't have time to actually do the project. It's bullshit. I should have just done the thing that actually matters, which is me most of the time writing it out on a whiteboard. I write it out on the whiteboard because I literally cannot make it look pretty on a whiteboard. I'm so bad at drawing. I just was drawing a square and I asked Robin, can you turn it into a box? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, it's such a great box. More on that later. So if I work on a whiteboard, I cannot procrastinate. It forces me to just do the thing that matters. So when you figure out that certain tools, your laptop, enable your procrastination, you should really stop using those tools and figure out different tools. I created a podcast episode about tools to beat your overwhelm. I'm going to add it, I'll link up the number of the episode at the end of this episode. So making everything pretty. I am a firm believer that when you're starting out in your business and you're still studying or working, you have not enough time for your business. You should put a time limit on your usage of Canva, because you probably don't need it as much as you're using it. You don't have to pay your bills every day. You can pay your bills every other week, something like that. You don't need the perfect logo. Why am I saying this? Although I know graphic designers are going to hate me, and I love you all because you're my clients. I'm not saying people don't need a logo. I'm saying you need a branding, but that is something that is going to be built up as you have more experience, and focusing on the perfect logo and paying so much money for it before you've gained clarity and experience in starting up your business is gonna lead to you changing it after 6 months of actually having experience in your business. So just take that into account, that is not the most important thing to focus on when you're starting out. It is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but I just think that when you don't even know what your offer is yet, you don't even know what your brand story is, don't focus on a logo, focus on building up your brand, is what I'm saying. Oh, maybe I can invite Robin to come and talk about this. Maybe I already did, and maybe she's already freaking out about the fact that she'll have to record an episode with me on this. If you're new to the podcast episode, Robin is our podcast manager, amongst other things, and she's sitting behind a screen as I'm recording, and I can hear her laughing right now, because I'm never alone when I record. Story of my life, I'm never alone. It's like moms who say they can't even go to the toilet alone. It's not offensive. I love my team. I love being around people. So maybe you're just spending too much time on research is my biggest thing. I think my biggest flaw when I started out is I was always comparing the fucking systems. By the way, on our website, you can find the systems Bible. It's really good. You can always figure that out. If you're sick of always comparing the systems, I highly recommend you just go and copy the things we use. They're not perfect, but what helped me is over the years, and that's what I teach in my Business Freedom Elevator, is just realizing no software is perfect. You're always going to have to have a few things that you don't have, or pay a higher percentage on a certain transaction or whatever. But the thing is that it isn't going to be perfect, so you might as well just start with something and make it as good as possible and make it work for you, right? So that's what I used to do wrong. Right now, I think I already said what I'm doing wrong. I procrastinate sometimes on the hard stuff because I start with the reactive stuff. So I'll be like, oh, I'll just answer Slack. I'll just answer, not emails, because I hate emails. I don't even know how to access my email inbox. That's a lie. I do know, but I wish I didn't. Answering messages, answering DMs, it's more important that you start your day with focus, which is why I teach my my Business Freedom Elevator clients the Fast Forward 15, but it's not the time or a place here right now. So basically, what are you doing right now that is taking up time sucks? If you tell me, Amy, I don't have enough time to move my business forward, I call bullshit, because you are probably doing one of these things. Now, what I will say is I used to do that too, and this is not me being mean. I'm actually a kind person. You wouldn't say. Maybe the team doesn't agree, but I think I am. I buy everyone lunch. It's okay. No, I'm kidding. They need to bring their own lunch. No, it's not true. So don't feel offended. I was there and I still do this shit, but it is important that you realize that time is not the issue. It might be focus or energy that is the issue right now. My guess is that if you're starting out, if you've already started out, right now you're overwhelmed because you just don't know what to do first. And I sometimes call my dad and I'm like, I'm so lost. I just don't know what to do first anymore. And I did this, I think, 6 months ago. I just called him and I was convinced there was no solution to my problem. I was like, it is just shit. I cannot manage it anymore. It is too much, too many people, can't manage myself, nothing. And come to think of it, 2 weeks ago, I also had a crying session on the phone on Christmas Day about this, because I was like, I'm doing everything wrong. he always comes back to me with like, you just have to set your priorities. I'm like, yeah, but I get so many phone calls and messages and I just feel like I'm letting everyone down and I just can't manage it or myself. And he's like, no, just things have shifted again. You need to reprioritize. And that is the thing, when you don't know what to do first or you don't know how to go about things, it's that you are lacking priorities or you're setting the wrong things as priorities. Right now, you're prioritizing reactive work like your emails, and you are wondering why you're not able to build your business in the 1 or 2 hours a day that you have. You have to, there's a time and place to prioritize. So I built my business while I was still in university full-time, and I used to work really hard. And then when it was time for my exams, I would still be working, but I did have a certain deadline when I was like, okay, now the business isn't a priority anymore. The exams are the priority. It was a very limited time frame, I'll be honest, because I used to always prioritize my business or my studying. Prioritizing myself and my health was nowhere to be found back then. This is one of the reasons why I created the BFE years later, to teach you how to do the opposite. But it was very clear to me what comes first. And this is a problem I see so many clients or people online making, is you don't even know what your priorities are. So that's what my dad said a few weeks ago when I was feeling really overwhelmed with messages and phone calls. He's like, you really literally got to prioritize who the people are that you're going to pick up the phone for and who you're not going to pick up the phone for. And come to think of it, this morning I had a little incident with something. It's because I picked up the phone for a problem that I shouldn't have managed at that time. I just shouldn't have picked up the phone, actually. And then the problem wouldn't have hit me. It was also not my problem to manage. And often when you just wait it out, problems will solve themselves. So I'm not saying when a client calls you, don't pick up if that's the service you're offering right now, or don't respond to customer emails. But there is a difference between responding to a coaching client who you're in contact with through email, or Thomas not responding to an email from my team about, let's say, hypothetically, we would have an editing mistake, and he'd be like, haha, Amy said I don't have to do emails, so I'm not responding to Amy's email. No, that is an email you need to respond to. But maybe the videographer Thomas, who I was talking about, gets emails about things that are happening weeks from now, or like a newsletter that he's subscribed to that is like very not interesting. He should just make sure he's unsubscribed or he's not responding to that email. The thing is, when you have so much information flowing in, it is difficult to determine your priorities. So my priority in my business is customer first. We have a customer first approach. This is something my entire team knows. So that means when someone is managing our team inbox and we get an email from a potential client who is a sales candidate and a customer who lost their login, who is going to get a first response? It's going to be the customer who lost their login. Always customer first. When I have to do an extra crisis call with my clients because the government changed a bunch of rules again due to the situation we're in, the C situation, or I can do a live to get more sales, no matter how much I would love to go and get more sales, I will prioritize that live. It is counterintuitive for me. Although I love my clients, I just also really love sales. It is just so often that people focus on the wrong stuff in their business, and that might mean on a deeper level that you're ignoring your existing clients to go and get new clients, but you should always focus on your existing clients first. So from there, you can start prioritizing in your business. You should also prioritize your own health, because when you don't prioritize your own health, you can't be a good coach, for example, in my case. And in your case, in your business, it might be, let's say you offer products. Maybe the box you package your products in can be shit for sending as long as it's sturdy and it doesn't break, but the box is ugly, but the product in itself can't be ugly, right? So what you need to know is you will have to make decisions. You will not be able to do it all at the same time. And I'm asking you to prioritize the things. It is the product, it is the service, it is the client. It is not the reactive emails and answering your accountant with questions that can also be answered 2 weeks from now. Making payments every day is wildly inefficient, and it might really trigger you that you're like, oh, this is an open loop, but then find out how you can like organize it into a system. But paying bills every day is like super inefficient. And what you think takes up 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day is actually taking you a lot more than that, because it's not about the time something takes you to do. It's about how much recovery time you have afterwards. So for example, for me, I used to do these scrums with my team. And I say I used to do. Until last week, I was doing this. And now we're changing things again. Because I was like, oh, it only takes me 15 minutes and it helps me focus my team. But I started noticing that after that meeting, it took me a really long time to get back in flow. So the actual cost of that 15 minutes meeting was a lot bigger than I was realizing for me. So what I'm saying is figure out your true priority, and I'm fairly certain that some of the things you're doing aren't your actual priorities, because I kept being the bottleneck in like strategy and decisions, but I was spending a lot of time on reactive stuff, which was just basically preventing me from doing the things that matter. So although I am always whining about not having enough time, I just want to say it's just a priority problem. So prioritize the right people, prioritize the right things in your business, and it is not making things pretty, unless that's literally what you're selling is prettiness. So what should you do, right? I've created this framework for you. It's the TCO Framework, or in Dutch it can be the TCA Framework. You can see it on the screen or in the article of this episode. And you will see that we have our traffic that's coming into our sales funnel, but it's not a sales funnel framework. This framework is about what should you be focusing on in your business, what should you be prioritizing as a next step. You can be focusing on traffic, and traffic is the people who are coming into your bucket of potential clients. So that would mean for me, for example, new people coming to my website, new people on my email list, but like before they get into the email list, but like they consider getting on the email list. People on my Instagram, just stuff like that. It could be literally the traffic passing by the door of your store, yeah? And then a couple of steps further is actually the conversion. So actually the sale we want people to make and that they're actually making it is the actual conversion, where they are buying from you. Now in a sales funnel, we focus on which steps do we need the people in your audience to take to go from just being random traffic who is aware of the fact that you exist to actually taking action to the sale. But in the TCO framework for your building your business, we look at the next step, and that is also your offer. So it's traffic, conversion, offer. And Robin drew this box as being your offer because that's what I've seen happen too often is people are like, hey, why am I not selling? Well, it's because your offer might not be the correct offer, or it's not clear, or you're focusing so much on traffic and staying busy on socials, but you don't even have an offer yet. Sometimes people literally come to me, hey, why am I not selling? And it is impossible for me to figure out what they are selling. So your offer needs to be crystal clear. There is not an episode of the Fast Forward Aim Show that goes by lately, not even with my guests, that I don't talk about BFE and Business Freedom Elevator. It's the same thing. I talk about it all the time. Not a day goes by that I don't talk about it. So people know what my core offer is. And then, of course, when I'm selling it, it needs to be clear how they can buy it, and I need to get them ready to buy it. So where I'm at right now in my business is my program is amazing. You should really get in it if you want to get in my super amazing program where we teach you all of this. It's called the Business Freedom Elevator. It's what's inside of my box. That's what she said. The BFE is in my box. I highly regret saying this. So that is very clear. I also know the price for the program. So what I'm focused on right now, I also know how to get to that conversion. My focus for the upcoming year is mostly on traffic, getting new people to the podcast. I know that once someone listens to the podcast, usually they think I'm smart-ish enough to coach them, and they're like, okay, I'll buy. But I need to get new people, so I'm focused on traffic. But when you're starting out, you might be prioritizing the wrong stuff. Researching websites and stuff isn't even on this drawing, so I want you to like print this out and put it on your wall, and every day you should be working on these things. And when you're working on your offer, make sure you're also hyping up what you're about to sell. But when you don't really have your offer and you don't have a way for people to buy it, then why the fuck are you responding to emails that don't matter to build your business? I think there's just such a huge difference between building your business and maintaining your business. People start their days, no matter how little time they have, maintaining their business. If you are maintaining, and that is your habit to maintain, you're never gonna build a business that grew. If you are building, you can achieve growth. But your habits of today define your tomorrow. It's like the food you eat defines your health for tomorrow, not the food you might eat tomorrow. You can always keep saying, then I'm gonna launch, then I will start showing up for my brand, then I will start making stories. But if you keep having the Monday mindset there, you're never gonna build the growing business. So it's what you're building on today that is gonna define your tomorrow. Never borrow from tomorrow is one of my favorite sayings. I created it myself. I know, it's really cool. I think no one gets what I mean by it, but maybe you do. I went off on a rant there. These should be your priorities. So look at this, and what I want you to do then is really start teaching yourself to analyze and be like, okay, if it's not working, not moving ahead because you don't have enough time, the main thing you need is this. You need people to buy what you have to offer. So what are you missing in order to make that happen? That is what you need. And then you might be like, oh, maybe I need a fancy website. No, you need a checkout link. You need a way for people to make the sale. That doesn't mean you need to create an entire framework around it. It's like, ooh, did I need like a place to catch the audience? Maybe that's just your personal profile for right now, and you don't need to create an entirely new Instagram account. I just had a client in the Business Freedom Elevator who sold for over 10,000 euros in 24 hours without a website. I haven't changed my website in 2 years. Am I ashamed? Yes. Because at my level, I should have done that. And I've said that so often. Are we working on it? Yes. But did I need it to get people to buy BFE? No. Can I convert more people now if I have a decent website? Yes. So you just constantly have to check if you're doing the right stuff. And what I want you to imagine is that, you know, the little emoji, the black hat with the golden band emoji, that's what I call the consumer hat. I want you to put it on and be like, okay, if I would be a client, I would want, like you would want for your business right now, and I would look at this funnel. And by funnel, I mean your Instagram, your site, your personal Facebook. Like, would I know what I want to buy and how I can buy it? What I want to buy is a product. How I can buy it is the conversion. That is what you should be focusing on. And I hate to say it, but close the laptop, turn off the phone, go and sit down with a piece of paper. I know it's very daunting, and write down, what am I selling? Who am I selling it to? How are they buying it from me? You need to be able to answer those 3 questions. What am I selling? Who am I selling it to? How are they buying it from me? And with the who am I selling it to, by the way, I don't need you to obsess about your ideal customer avatar and stuff, or your niche. It doesn't need to be super detailed. It's very difficult to figure that out in the beginning. So but you do have to know like something about it. Otherwise, you can never put on the consumer hat. So make sure you know who you're selling it to. Otherwise, you might even be on the wrong platform, right? Okay, so the first thing is put on your consumer hat. That is how you will be able to determine your priorities, because you will see holes in the in this TCO framework into how that person is going to move through the framework. Like, where can they find you? What are they buying? How are they buying? Yeah? So basically in this framework, we put on the consumer hat, and the little puppet goes through this, and we answer here, what are they buying? How are they buying it? That's how we look at it. Then the second thing is, you should be showing up and learning and improving iteratively. So perfection doesn't exist. I get DMs so often from people saying, I'm 95% there. It's just not perfect enough to start yet. Should I join your program? And I'm like, obviously, because you should always join my program, but I've never created something that was 100% perfect. And I don't want to be the hero in this. I just want to say perfection is literally an illusion. It does not exist. Nothing will ever be perfect. You will never have the perfect website, the perfect relationship, the perfect product. This is the first time I'm recording in this new setting. I now want to light every other episode I've ever made on fire because they're so ugly compared to this setting. But I won't do that. I will look at, hey, I grew so much throughout these episodes. So perfection doesn't exist, and when you postpone action, you can never learn. I learned from making podcast episodes that I should change my introduction. I learned from making videos that I should change my background. When I watch my own videos, I learned so much about my own behavior that I should change on video. I could have never gotten training or learned about it and then created a perfect video. The perfect video doesn't exist. The perfect business doesn't exist. The perfect team doesn't exist. So publish the post, throw the website online. If you have a website, I'm not saying you shouldn't get a website, but just don't spend 50 hours on it when you could be spending 2 hours on it and then spending 48 hours on getting to know your client, optimizing what they're buying and getting them to buy it from you, right? That's just real important. It's called iterative learning. It's when you are going through just like doing something, testing it, optimizing it. That is how you grow exponentially throughout time. Otherwise, if you don't do anything, you can't grow. So perfection sucks. Also, procrastination is just fear of failure in disguise. You're not doing something because you're afraid that when you do publish it, only then can they tell you that it wasn't good. I had it with my podcast, for example. I was looking for excuses to not publish the podcast because like I don't have enough time or the audio isn't going to be good enough. But I was just really afraid that when I did publish it, people weren't going to like it. Oops. In the end, I published it and you know what? Some people didn't like it. But a lot of people did, and they still do to this day. And I got a lot of clients from it. So if you don't do something, most of the time if you do something and fail, worst case, you'll end up in the same spot as you were then. So if I would have published a podcast and it failed, I would have ended up without a podcast. But I didn't have a podcast when I started, so it would have just been back to zero, but not in a negative place. So fear of failure is really a mental game. Because you're afraid of losing, but what you're actually afraid of losing is your ego. So just get over yourself. It's more easily said than done. I know it's an actual issue. I'm not saying it's not true. It's just that I teach so much about it in my Business Freedom Elevator in Module 0 about entrepreneurial mindset. I would love to take you through it. So if you're like, holy shit, you are right, I am stuck in the perfection mindset, go and sign up for the Business Freedom Elevator. You can find the link in the description or through fastforwardamy.com/elevator. It is my top program. It's my baby. It's my lover. No, it's not true. I don't make love to it. It is the baby of the love I've made to myself and then created that program. I'm joking. It's a really great program, and I am gonna take you through 6 months of coaching with me where I will teach you how to think like an entrepreneur, how to take massive action and gain even more massive results. So link is in the description. Would love to see you there. Okay, so I think step 3 was, well, combined with showing up, is just, now it's, perfection doesn't exist, but what I want to say is the perfect story doesn't exist, the perfect post doesn't exist, the perfect pitch doesn't exist. So if you keep showing up, it doesn't really matter because you're just going to keep improving and people will forget the ugly shit that you did before. I've done so many stupid and ugly things, but my audience is really loyal to me because they know they can trust me and I keep showing up. So we have putting on the consumer hat for the TCO Framework funnel, showing up, learning iteratively and improving iteratively because perfection doesn't exist. And last but not least, and this is what I want to teach you as a step before we go to my really big conclusion that you need from this episode, is track your data. So this is something I usually start doing with clients on a later basis, but when you are starting, you might not know what to do because you don't have anything you can base your decisions on. But when you start tracking your cash flow every day, when you start tracking your views every day, when you start tracking, for example, the time you spend on certain things every day, from there you can improve. So maybe you feel like you're really busy, but you actually spend 4 hours a day on your phone. Maybe you feel like you're really busy, but from the time you have for your business, an hour and a half each day, you're spending an hour in Canva. You don't need to spend an hour in Canva. It is not getting you a big ROI on that time. So I want you to start tracking what you do every day. And I want you to determine a few slots that are really important for you to track. Now, we've got you at Team Fast Forward. We've already created a tracking sheet for you and you can get it for free. So either you take from here like, oh yeah, I'm going to track the time that I spend on creating new things versus my admin versus selling. I don't know, you're going to track your cash flow, maybe your Instagram posts, your followers, I don't know, website visitors. But we've created the ideal templates for you to track when you are starting out and you feel like you're focusing on the wrong things and you don't know where to start. From there, it's going to become hyper apparent to you what you should be focusing on, okay? Once you start analyzing, you can start improving. But you can't improve if you don't actually learn from what you're doing. So I tend to say never stop, keep going. But when I say never stop going, I don't mean never stop going and put your head in the sand and don't think about the fact that you should be improving. Never stop going for me implies never stop growing, because you need to keep going and learn from what you do, and that is how you achieve sky-high results. Okay, before we end it here, There's one really big thing that is gonna be a massive game changer for you in your business. It is gonna get you really epic results, and it is a habit that you can apply every single day, and it's gonna 10x the results you get this year. And it is actually also the thing I am practicing myself this year. Do you wanna know what it is? I think you do. The habit is making decisions. In order to grow, you need to decide. It is much easier to change the course of a boat that's already driving on the water. What does a boat do? A boat. I don't know the English word. I don't mean floating, I mean it is moving. A moving boat. Sometimes, what's it called, guys?
Just driving a boat?
Driving a boat. Okay, a driving boat is much easier to change. Like, it's much easier to change the direction of a driving boat than a boat that is just like lying still in the harbor, right? Because like a boat isn't like a car where you're like, oops, reverse. You can do that, but it's not as easy. So it is much easier when you're already driving the boat, I guess, to change the direction of the boat. It's the same with your business. I so often catch myself reading something, having to make a decision, being like, oh, I'll just think about it and I'll get back to you. No, actually, I already know. So it's not just about making decisions, but it's about acting on them faster. Don't like the client? Stop working with them. Need to choose a launch date? Choose a date. Need to set a price for a product, but you've been procrastinating about it forever? Choose a price. You know what? As a business owner, you always have the right to change. I am not married to anyone. Honestly, I will not, because I love my team, but I could fire everyone. You can hire someone, fire them. You can make a product, you can kill the product. You can dye your hair, you can undye it. Whatever, you can make out with someone, you can stop making out with someone, I don't know. But you can't do something, you can't change something if you're not already doing it. Perfect launching doesn't exist. Perfect sales don't exist. So what I want to say by that is you're going to sell so much more from a bad decision than you're going to sell nothing if you didn't make a decision. And what I mean by that is like, okay, workout programs, this is the analogy we're looking for. You will get many more results from following a bad workout program than from not following a perfect workout program. After years of doing this, I still don't know the exact best time to send out an email. But I get results from sending out the email. And in order to send out the email, I do have to tell my team we're sending it out at 8 p.m. Or I do have to make the decision to then make the action. So the prices, the bonuses, the things you are overthinking, just make a decision and then learn from it and change it next time. But once you have all of the decisions, you're going to be able to take so much more action in your business. So I'm here to beg of you, when you catch yourself saying, I'll think about it or I'll research it more or whatever, no. Already make a decision. If you didn't have time left, you can go and research more, but I already want you to make a decision, okay? Wow, this is me going off on a rant, okay. So I created a tracking sheet for you, so you can start tracking your data, because I don't want you to just be like, Amy told me I need to do this, I'm gonna do exactly what you said. I want you to learn from your own data, because you are different than I am. That's the whole freedom concept of the Business Freedom Elevator is you do you, I do me, but I can't teach you how you can do you. Wow. Not in a sexual way. So if you go to fastforwardamy.com/tracking sheet, you will find the exact Excel sheet that we've used before, that I've used to analyze even my health data, and that you can start using to track your data, like your cash flow, like your posts and things on Instagram, so you can start learning and improving. You don't have to spend any time on making it pretty, because we already made it pretty enough for you. Download it through the link in bio or go to fastforwardamy.com/tracking sheet. It's our gift to you. And that only leaves me to tell you about the episodes where we talk about how to beat your overwhelm with tools. And that is episode 105. So after this, you can go and listen to that if you need more help on stopping your procrastination. Okay, talk to you next week, Tuesday. I had so much fun recording this. Please don't blame me for rude things I said. I love you. Goodbye.